Hi, welcome to Anna Cartwright's Diastasis Recti check. Well, we're not checking mine, we'll be checking yours. I'm going to teach you guys how to have a feel and have a look to see if you think you've got any abdominal separation after having your little one. Now, just a little bit of information about it. So if you think of your six-pack muscles that sit on top of your deep core muscles during pregnancy, and it can just actually be, people can have slightly separated muscles anyway, not very often, but they can, but definitely during pregnancy, those six-pack muscles stretch, and they can stretch up to 21 centimetres apart. And there's the thin connective tissue stretches, and then after you've had little ones, it knits back together. Now, if by 6 to 8 weeks postpartum, those muscles haven't knitted back together themselves, then we can do a few things to encourage them to get back together and strengthen your deep core muscles. It's also really useful to know whether you have got them, because there's certain exercises you should avoid that would put too much strain on the linear albia and also on the spine, because you haven't got that corset nice and strong knitting you all together. So it's really good to understand if you've got it, how big it is, you can monitor the progress. But also, when that knits back together, that helps to create that nice, firm, kind of strong structure and flatter tummy area. So we need to do it lying down. Some people feel a little bit squeamish about feeling their tummy. So, if you can't get around it, then we'll just assume that you've got it and we'll do some exercises. We'd always do the modifications to assume you have the separation. So when we're checking, we're looking for two things. We're looking for how wide the gap is and how deep the gap is, okay? So you can either do it through your top or you can do it directly onto your skin. You're going to put your knees up in the air, relax that area, relax your tummy area, and you're going to have a feel from the belly button around on this area here. You can press quite deep, you might be able to feel some muscle, some of the tightening area. And you're going to rock your fingers gently in between. You can press quite hard and rock in between and see if you can feel somewhere in line with your belly button usually. And you can always start at your belly button, because usually that is a bigger area, so you can feel that gap if you've got one, so you can feel in between. So if you can feel a gap, what you're going to do is turn your fingers this way and see how many fingers you can put in between there, wiggle it around, but also feel how deep down it goes, so whether it comes to here or quite a far way in, okay? So you're going to feel that area. Now it stretches from below your belly button all the way up to here, so you need to feel all the way along, all the way up, and see, because some people can have a larger split at the bottom, and a smaller one at the top. It can knit back together there. So it's just understanding where you've got the separation and just get an understanding of it and what it feels like. If you have that separation, when you crunch up, you will get a doming or like a V-shape effect, where it's essentially some of the muscle and the tissue pushing up through because you've got a gap there. So you wouldn't be able to pull it down completely and contract it. So once you've had a check and an idea, make a note of it, what you have, and we can monitor the progress throughout. As I say, if you have got that separation, we have to be really careful on the load we're putting, especially onto the lower tummy. So we have to make sure that we bend our knees with leg raises, so we do toe taps. Full sit-ups and planks, full planks with knees off the ground should be avoided if you have that separation at the beginning. Does it always knit back together? Sometimes it doesn't, okay? Why do we have it? Well, because we're growing a baby and this is how our body accommodates, but it's a little bit like stretch marks. Some people knit back together and some people don't. It can be a genetic thing in your makeup. We generally find that women who exercise before pregnancy and throughout pregnancy knit back together a lot quicker, just because they have muscle memory, they have slightly strong muscles and it knits back together. But it doesn't mean you can't knit it back together. And if you've had 2 or 3 children and you think you've had this all the way through, we can still knit it back together or encourage it to move towards each other. But also, if it doesn't knit back together, you can have what's called a functional diastasis recti, so a functional separation, which means we'll work on the deep core. So a lot of like the bird dogs and the glute bridges and the cat cat-cows, work on your deep core muscles, so the real backbone, the structure, that everything that supports in your torso. If we strengthen that and we can control those muscles and keep everything down when we're doing sit-ups and planks, then that's called a functional, so we can still strengthen that area. So there's lots of exercises we can do, just standard breathing techniques where you're pulling your tummy in. If you have that separation when you're lying in bed at night, just do a few nice steady breathing techniques where you're pulling that core in and relaxing, pulling that core in. Without raising your rib cage, we're going to pull it nice and tight. So as I say, lots of things to do. It's just really for you to be aware of your body and where it's at, and also another thing to look at the progress as you exercise through the weeks. Okay, take care, bye.